Welcome to the Vermilion Podcast, a free audio library of business strategies, creative inspiration, and industry knowledge for actors, filmmakers, writers, and anyone looking to activate their creative potential. I'm Misha Calvert, a writer-director who helps artists build the careers that they dream of. I really hope that this podcast inspires you in some way. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm actually traveling this week, and as a result, we are pulling from the archives. This is a conversation I had with movie star Ser'Darius Blain. He was in JUMANJI, he played Fridge. Loved him also in Star Trek. He's done a bunch of other films that you may or may not have seen, and I just love his energy. I love his ambition, the self-generating spirit that he takes towards acting and towards being an artist. He really speaks my language. I really enjoy this conversation, one of the most enjoyable I think I might have had on the podcast. This will be with myself and my former co-host Brett Epstein back when we were running Unlikely Protagonist. But I really hope that you enjoy this delicious and beautiful conversation with Ser'Darius. He's a total icon.
I think the first thing is that the whole thrust of our show is that we talk to people who are successful in film and TV, who have made it in the eyes of our audience. And that is definitely you. And we try to frame it where you are the protagonist of your career. You know, it hasn't just landed in your lap. You worked to get here. So what are the differences between what people see, which is fabulous celebrity Hollywood actor guy, and how your day-to-day actually goes? Whatever you want to say about that.
That's one of the best questions I've probably ever been asked, and one of the most truthful ones. So when you just said, like, quote unquote, made it, I literally exhaled, have I? You know, I think that's kind of the question always, have I? I hope that I always have that question, because I hope to always be pushing the envelope. I hope to always be looking to kind of best my last. It's a long game. Every time a friend of mine yesterday gave me a call, he had some questions about being a series regular for the first time. The kid's been putting in work for 10 years, nonstop. And he's obsessive about it, far more so than even I am. I've been very, very lucky to have the career that I do. Honestly, I'm going to say something you shouldn't normally say, while not putting in the maximum amount of work at all times. I struggle with depression myself. Most days I don't feel like I'm good. I feel like I suck, to be perfectly honest with you. It took my 10th acting job to feel like maybe I wasn't lucky anymore. I think the moment you feel like you made it, or the moment you feel like you got it, is when you start sucking. So I try my best to always be learning something new and challenging myself to something new. You'll never feel comfortable in it, because this is a kill to eat sport. I'm very realistic about the business to all the actors that I teach. And the first thing I always tell them is that I never encourage people to act. I never encourage them to pursue this field at all. This business has a really weird way of kind of eating people up. I'm saying in general, you don't have a very strong knowing of who you are, what your purpose is, and where you're going. It can get very tough out here. And I think we all feel the pressure of it. You never feel good enough. I don't care how many jobs you've ever done, you never feel good enough. I had a conversation with Jamie Foxx about 2 weeks ago. I was at his house for Martin Luther King Day. And I was like, man, I would see remnants of that even in him. And he's maybe the best to ever do it. This is not like anything else. You don't wax stronger in confidence. And I think maybe it gets worse, to be honest with you. You have fun in the moment, and you say, thank God I got this gig in the moment, and thank God for this opportunity in the moment, because we know that the antithesis is also true. Constantly forgetting to live. And so I always kind of try to remind actors to live and actually experience this life, and don't just endure it. I've been really lucky. I've been very grateful. But I also know that each job can be my last.
Wow.
The most beautiful answers I've ever heard from anybody.
That's love. I appreciate that.
It triggered a few things in me. First of all, thank you so much for being very transparent and vulnerable about depression off the bat. And it's good for, I think, people to hear it. So many actors, no matter what level, so many artists, no matter at what level, will be battling things like that throughout. And it may not go away. How do you find the next step in a purpose and what path you're supposed to be on in the field?
The problem is, I think that it's drilled into us that in order to be successful at something, you have to obsess over it. And I don't agree with that sentiment whatsoever. Acting is a very small part of my life. I obsess over human beings. I'm a people watcher to the max. I like to put together social events so that I can put this person together and this person and see what happens. I don't obsess over acting. I watch movies every single day. I really do. So I do obsess over it. But it's not, I don't walk around thinking like, oh, I'm an actor. It's so weird. I got to go to the grocery store today and I've been putting it off for 3 days. My girlfriend is bothering me because she doesn't think I'm romantic right now. All these things, right, are all of these alarms that we kind of keep hitting the snooze button on in our life. And those are actually the real human moments that we have. My career doesn't define me. It's a part of who I am, one of my favorite parts of who I am. But I'm constantly watching. I'm constantly looking at the world and how people move, how they talk, how they think, why they think what they think. People are constantly watching themselves rather than seeing the world. They're enduring life rather than living it. And that can become a very big problem when it comes to trying to provide solutions, which is what we're doing in scene work or in music or whatever. We're either providing solutions or we are settling ourselves with the answer to said problem. That's literally all that you can possibly do in the arts. So I'm constantly looking at how problems exist in the world and how people overcome them and how they act socially. We're very awkward people, all of us. So I'm interested in the awkwardness.
Not really giving a shit about acting as your main event, but instead being a student of the human race and your purpose aligning and your worth aligning to other things is so freaking genius and critical to not driving oneself crazy in this business, because this business just folds in on itself. Like your idea of who you are becomes this kind of meta hall of mirrors. How do you recommend somebody stay sane and navigate the inherent narcissism of the acting industry?
We're one of the few industries that has to be quantified with what was your last job? When people meet me and they say, what do you do for a living? Which is a normal question. I very rarely answer that I'm an actor because most people can't really wrap their mind around it. And I don't want to seem like a dick and be like, that is my day job, because people can't really conceptualize that. It's a thing where like people are going to always ask you what you do to the day that you die. Actors tend to go internal, especially if it's been a while since you've worked. But a doctor with a degree who hasn't, had his own private practice in 3 years is still a doctor. An actor who hasn't had a gig in a couple of years is still actually an actor. We're the only ones where it's like, oh, it's quantifiable. You haven't worked in a while, so you're not actually who you say you are. We realize that the work is in the studying. And the studying is in the experiences. So I do my very best to make sure that I'm having the most intimate human experiences that I can on a daily basis. That's more important than actually studying the craft itself. That is the craft. How do you put yourself into another person's body that is not like you without seeing other people that are like this person? We're painting a big ass mural and I need to have as many different types of paint as I possibly can in order to make this picture. So I think that that's probably one of the more important parts for me.
You're drawing a lot of very Chekhovian conclusions, I think, and your approach is very Chekhovian in the sense that he studied humanity.
Legitimate. We overcomplicate a lot of things. But you know why? Because we fell into the fucking trap. We became adults. I swear to God, the worst thing you can do as an actor is become an adult. Fall into the idea that you have to be a certain way. And kid actors are better actors than any adult will ever be because they have not fallen into the trap. They can be much more free, much more loose, and laugh at themselves for making mistakes because they have the advantage of that childlike, reckless abandon. They can just see life for exactly what it is, man. Like, I think we overcomplicate things way too much,
Do you think that's ego, the ego of adulthood?
Absolutely. Especially if you live in big cities. You don't want to look like a loser. Who does? The average person is lying to themselves on a daily basis. They're not even doing what they really want to do. 10% of Americans like their job. It's only 10. 1% of performers make their living from performing. If I can make my living off of this for the duration of my career, I think I've done well. At the end of the day, I want to at least call the shots for part of my life, at least a little bit of it.
You do have a side hustle of a luxury travel business. Is that correct?
Definitely. The travel company, I have a prepackaged meals company called King's Cuisine, which is actually like my baby. That's the most important one to me. I'm better at cooking than acting. No, honestly, I really am. I'm better at it. I worked in restaurants for 12 years, and hospitality is like at my core. It all correlates. Hospitality, athletics, playing sports and stuff like that, and acting, they're all this exact same thing. It's all service. A lot of people get this business confused when things start going well for them, especially if it started going well like really quickly too, where they think that this is some sort of self-serving business, and it's really a business of service. You're in service of your fellow actor. If I were to play basketball, I am in service to my teammates. I want to make sure they get the best shots possible, etc. We're providing answers or conversations about problems as actors, or the conversations that we present on the screen. So I tell actors all the time, like, if you're in this to like get rich or famous and stuff like that, that can be done. It's just less of a sure thing rather than if you're looking to feed yourself. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to serve.
So, actually, on that note, what process do you have for the audition and the callback when you may not have that chemistry? What do you tap into to get to the level of, okay, he's the one for Jumanji? Yep.
That's probably the worst example. I had no idea. I was trying to leave that audition early because I was like, this is stupid. I'm not getting this. I've been here for over an hour and a half. They haven't seen me yet, and I have 2 more auditions today. And it's pilot season. I need to go. What's the process? I mean, it depends on the gig. I'm not like a big memorizer. I'm not like going over the scene, running it. What I started realizing is that I wasn't having fun with the work anymore. It was like, okay, I have 5 auditions this week. I have 6 auditions this week. What's the most important one to me? And you start doing the whole logical deductive reasoning kind of thing rather than like trying to connect. And I was like, I'm not connecting with anything that I'm doing anymore. And I'm not booking right now because I'm not connecting. I think that was a direct correlation. But I started focusing on the relationships in the scenes more than anything. And how do I see myself? How does this person in the scene see me? Relationship became utterly important to me, where I was just like, all right, find out what relationships are, then you'll find different responses. I dug into that more than anything, and I think it kind of revolutionized the way that I auditioned. What I was able to find is the relationship and be able to tweak it each take. If I'm in an audition room and I have to do it 3 times, it's going to be 3 slightly different reads, I guess I'll say. Minutia is very important to any craft. It's detail that sets us apart. Actors falling in love with the idea that they are already interesting without doing anything. I try to find the interesting parts of my character that also align with who I am as a person.
You have such a sound and holistic, healthy approach to the whole business and to the craft. It's really lovely to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. Nobody knows nothing. Everybody knows everything. Pete Mantelliano, he was an acting coach I had in New York, and he would say that all the time. Like, what does that mean? He would say, nobody knows nothing and everybody knows everything. I can tell you what makes sense to me in this scene and figure out your own philosophies on what this is and what it means to you. The way that I tell you how I approach my work is not going to work for you. I did the regimented way of like learning my scenes and blah, blah, blah for so long. And I was like, oh, shoot, movie number 10, I'm not even having fun anymore. So how do I make this more loose and feel real and genuine to myself? Find your own processes,
When you were working on American Underdog with legends like Dennis Quaid and in Fortress with Bruce Willis, were you able to witness their craft or just get a sense of how they are approaching the work?
I've never seen so many superstars not paying attention in my life. And they fully knew it. They knew everything about it. They knew all 5, 6, 7 different ways that we're going to do it on each take. And I was like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing, because they had such an easy approach to the craft where, like, you look at somebody like Kevin and Wang, who are constantly distracted by 6 other gigs that they have going on at the same time, but can still bring creativity to the role and self-direct. We did a table read for Jumanji back in 2016. We did a table read in Hawaii. All the network execs, everybody from Sony had flown in for the day just to come do the read. And I was there like, I'm 28. They're going to know that I'm not actually 18 and they're going to kick me out of here. So just be prepared. Anyway, we get in the read. Kevin's on his phone the entire table read and missing their cues and, popping in late. By the end of the read, I was like, okay, this is kind of a disaster. Kevin Hart had notes for every single page. And he was like, page 66, change the blah, 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 to make himself the butt of the joke. I think it's funnier there. The Rock had an entire 7-page rewrite. He wrote that entire thing in about 5 minutes. And they were like, yeah, we can do it. They're always engaged, even if it looks like they're not. And they know every single person's name and a detail about them. It's really nuts. I was like, wow, they're fully engaged, even when it seems like they're not. They're literally splitting themselves so that they can hear in 2 places at once.
Anything specific on set throughout that experience that surprised you?
The biggest sets are the most chill. They're really the most relaxed. Been on, high-level TV shows that, have $30,000 an hour for production, etc. It's because they lean into the idea of knowing the person next to them knows exactly what the hell they're doing. The micromanaging happens on the worst sets. And I've learned to just kind of smile and nod and act like it's my first day. Everybody leans into each other's genius. Greatness comes forth when people really trust and believe that. I think you're probably the best costume designer. I think you're the best set designer. I think you're probably the best caterer. And it's that trust and willingness to just lean into the idea of the genius of the person next to you. You don't get to this point leaning into your teammates' genius that has been really eye-opening on the biggest stages. Everybody's just calm.
Fascinating. God, I cannot wait to get to Hollywood. Do you have any words of wisdom of maybe how to hang in there or how to go forth in their careers?
I just told my good friend Tian Richards, you cannot be in this business and expect to only be an actor or only be a director or only be a producer or only be a writer. Be a multi-hyphenate. It's really important you add value to every project that you're on by knowing the ins and outs of the business. Staying creative makes you respectful of everyone's process. It makes you kinder to PAs who become ADs one day. And I've seen that happen several times where casting assistant is now Jessica Sherman, one of the biggest casting directors out here. And she helped me out as a casting assistant, 9, 10 years ago on Star Trek Into Darkness, where she was like, I can't tell you what this project is, but I think you want to go out in the hallway and rememorize this and come back in better. Relationships is everything. This is an ecosystem that we're building here. Just be cognizant of the fact that you're part of a community. Always try to be a giving creator, period, and be of service to your fellow man. We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. That's the only thing I can really say that I would hang my hat on in this entire thing.
I could not think of a better first guest to chat with. Thank you for talking about the highs and lows of this industry. And thank you for being you. Keep killing it. It was a true pleasure to meet you and chat with you tonight.
Man, you guys are great. Thank you so much.
The Vermilion podcast is sponsored by Vermilion, a home for artists. We offer classes, coaching, and community for creatives and innovators in the arts. If you're ready to find your voice and build the life of your dreams, we're here to support you every step of the way. Check out clubvermilion.com and schedule a free call today.